The title for my creative response for this week's module is Ubiquitous Empiricism. Ubiquitous means everywhere, all around us, and empiricism is a theory or philosophy that we learn and gain knowledge through our senses. As a young child, I was definitely consumed by an insatiable curiosity for the unfamiliar and creative, as referenced in Resource 4. However, when I reflected on my creative experiences in childhood, to be honest, not many stem from in-school art activities. I can see the face of my elementary school art teacher. I can visualize the space, the view out of the windows. I remember its exact position between the music and the fourth grade classroom, but I can't see what's on my paper. Although this makes me question my capacity to remember past details, I start to vividly reflect on my own creative activities as a child, the opportunities that allowed me to exercise my own voice through creating imagery and dialogue. Like many young girls and possibly some boys born in the 90s, I had an American Girl baby. My mom asked my older sister and I to pick out a doll that we would like. Elizabeth chose the American Girl doll that looked like her. Long, light brown hair, hazel green brown eyes, and two matching Felicity dresses, one for her and one for her doll. I, on the other hand, wanted the Asian baby that I declared would be named Max and the skiing outfit that came with boots and skis. I always was a tomboy, but Max came with me everywhere, and I wanted to give him more of an identity. Over the course of a few days, I wrote all over his cloth body with Sharpie. I wrote Max and 11 because he was Max and he was 11. I drew a heart because I loved him. I wrote and I drew his hobbies in the best way I could as a 6-year-old, all over him. I was making a visual record of his life. I was, as mentioned in Resource 4, reinterpreting my new knowledge, combining my imagination and beliefs in this creative way. When I look back at this creative experience, I feel the emotion of the little budding artist with the insatiable curiosity for experiencing and making connections. This particular experience came to mind when I read the resource Why Our High Schools Need the Arts and was introduced to the philosopher Nelson Goodman. My mother's reaction to my creative exploits was not exactly enthusiastic. Her perception influenced how she related to my doll, begging the question, as seen in Resource 5, not what is art, but when. My sister, always my helpful aide, explained as an 8-year-old how this was me expressing myself creatively and making a personal statement. After that, my mom didn't mind when I cut my doll's hair, pierced their ears, or strapped them to my bike with a bungee cord. She knew I was going to always put my heart into all of my creative endeavors, and her support gave me the freedom to explore my own unique voice. This was my first vivid memory of creating something that wasn't there before. I imagined it or brought it into being, as referenced in Resource 5. When I was helping clean out the basement at my parents', I came across a marble notebook with my name on it. Although I can't recall making it, as I flipped through the pages, I was astonished to find a series of carefully crafted pages designed to take the viewer beyond cursory encounters towards acts of contemplation on the evidence of their senses. From Resource 4. I couldn't help but smile. There was a reason behind all of my fervor for visual journals. In 1994, I created my first visual journal. I was 4 and on vacation in Florida. This simple marble notebook contained pages of collage, drawings, and text describing my experiences while on vacation. I was unknowingly giving artistic expression and meaning to my artwork and experiences. I was tapping into my senses and using this journal as a valid mode of organizing and expressing feelings in an artistic and creative way. Resource 4. As I got a little older, I grew out of my want to be a boy phase, as I started to realize that girls could do anything that a boy could do and still be a girl. Middle school is also a great area for me in terms of proper art classes, but at West Hampton Middle School, I do remember home ec and shop class. I remember using power tools for the first time to create a wooden race car that would be raced with CO2 canisters down the hallway against other students. We got to design and decorate our cars however we wanted. In home ec, we made sweatpants that I still wear to this day, one leg donning rainbow frogs and the other tiger stripes. These different disciplines of art contribute to the unique and distinctive ways of responding to the world. Each contributes to the learning that takes place in all others. As referenced in resource number 4, these experiences were building on the known and branching out to the unfamiliar. I was using my foundations and progressing forward. My passion for art never faltered. I believe fervently that as I transitioned from childhood to adolescence, my opportunities to create, imagine, and explore only became more accessible. I began to learn how I could use my insatiable curiosity to depart from childhood and face the great unknowns of growing up. Resource number 2. As I continued to grapple with unique and distinctive possibilities inherent to each art medium, in reference 4, I forged a pathway for myself through my artistic self-discovery. In my early years in high school, I wanted to become an architect. I joined an AutoCAD class as my elective and continued with the notion that learning never stops. My path becomes very much more diverse as I continued to grow and explore. I didn't become a seamstress, I didn't become a woodworker, and I definitely did not become an architect, but I would never consider these educational and artistic experiences as losses, only gains. With encouragement, I opened the door to adulthood and embraced the idea that anything I set my mind to was possible, which is why I left the middle of my spread mostly blank, because my journey is not over and learning does not stop until I do. Thank you for taking the time to listen and view my spread. I hope that you enjoy it and that you find my transition from childhood to adulthood to be very informative and interesting and filled with creative and imaginative ways to learn and progress.